I hope you're ready because this is the final episode, and be sure to stay until the very end. For the very last time, let's remake this movie right. Hello, my fellow cinematic architects, and welcome to Remake This Movie Right. We are a member of the Hollywood Outsider Network. Listen to episodes of Remake This Movie Right on Apple Podcasts. Reviews are appreciated. Your podcast app of choice, or just visit the website at remakethismovie.right.com. Remake This Movie Right is a show, or was, that takes an original film that has an actual remake in the works, figure out what still clicks and what doesn't. There's a little bit of humor added, and we determine exactly how Hollywood should remake it. So by the end of each episode, we will have the remake ready to roll for Hollywood execs and presented to you in movie trailer form. We are here to tell Hollywood how to remake this movie right. I am your host, Aaron Peterson, and joining me today, you remember him from our Stephen King Stand By Me, Con Air, and the last Starfighter episodes. He's the host of The Blacklist Exposed and Beyond Westworld, Mr. Troy Heinritz.
I am super sad today, but luckily I can always look back and think of rabid baboons to cheer me up.
Just going back and trying to remember all the freaking trailers and shows and episodes that I love. That's a lot of fun.
All the crazy crap that we did.
And you remember him from Stephen King's It, The Stand, and the voice of every single one of our parody movie trailers from MediaVoiceovers.com, as well as host of Packers Fan Podcast and Castle Rock Zone, since there's a Stephen King connection wherever he goes. Mr. Wayne Henderson.
Awesome. Aaron, thanks so much for having me on. And yes, I have already started the campaign for hashtag Save Remake Right.
Enjoy that. I don't know what the rules are. What are the rules? If they get I know I had actually debated if people go to the Patreon, if they do enough of that, then I'd have like a bonus episode there once a month or something.
I think they should just package up 1,000 bags of rabid baboon poop and send it to your house.
Or
gross.
Go ahead and collect 70 kilos of twine tornadoes.
Ooh, like it.
I like it. Or we just find Patrick and find out why is he still floating through space.
Hi, Mark.
Wayne remembers that one. All right, well, for this
but
episode,
is there a dungeon, a bar, and a dragon in space?
There has to be, right?
There is no spoon.
For this episode, we are remaking the podcast. So, no, seriously, we are saying adieu to Remake This Movie Right. Please subscribe and review us on Apple Podcasts. I don't know what good that's going to do, but feel free. If you have any thoughts you want to share, or maybe you have reflections on the show, or you just want to say goodbye in your own words, you can always do that at remakeThisMovieRight@gmail.com. That's greatly appreciated. So I want to just dive into it and kind of ask ourselves the questions we normally pose about the movies we talk about, right? What makes this podcast so notable? And Troy, why don't you take that first?
I think the best part about doing this was that it allowed us to go back and revisit some of our nostalgia. You got us to think about times when we were growing up and things that influenced us and kind of shaped us in the way we viewed the world today, and just how awesome some of that movie cinema was back then, and how today you have to sit through a half an hour of trailers and then a 2.5 hour movie with long helicopter sequences. Sorry, too early. Okay.
Not a Mission Impossible fan, huh?
It wasn't that I was a fan. It was just really, really long after sitting there for 3 hours and really needing to pee.
It was kind of long. Yeah.
It was just a lot of fun. Just going back and doing this, having a little bit of retrospective. I was trying to think of the Goonies thing. Retro what?
Retrospective. I like that.
Retrospective, yes. Shut up, Brant. I loved hanging out with you guys. I loved hanging out with Brian and Ryan and Jason and Wayne, of course, doing all the movie trailers. It was just a lot of fun to do this podcast, and I really hope this isn't the last. Like you said, if you give to the patreon.com, that's patreon.com, The Hollywood Outsider, then you can go ahead and give there, and hopefully we can bring this back for a once a month type of thing.
It's possible. I would like to do that, but it is very involved and time consuming and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, if there's a significant outpouring of people that really want it, they can go there, and if that happens, then I'd be more than happy to continue it in some form. I'll explain why we're calling it a day a little later. Wayne, what about you? What makes the podcast so notable for you? And you're coming at it from a different angle, I guess.
Well, overall, the whole concept of Remake This Movie Right is a great concept, and knowing that you were going to be involved, I knew that it was going to have a little bit of that streetwise attitude. And face it, most of us I know all three of us, but definitely most of us, including listeners, will go to a movie, and whether it's one from our youth or one we just saw last week or something that we saw on Netflix a couple of years ago, we all have ideas of what we thought worked, what didn't work, and how the heck can we remake this movie and do it right this time? Jeez.
Yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, that really sums it up. The thing about this that has always appealed to me is that I do love talking about the older movies. And it's funny because I think when we started off, we barely talked about the original movies, and it was more about the remake. And as it went on, people like the other portion just as much as that, or if not more. They like the reminiscing and the memories more for a lot of people. So we kind of increased that and made it half the show, and then the other half was a remake. And I just love that aspect of, here's what about the original worked, here's what we didn't really like or doesn't hold up, and here's how we would make it for today. You know, as fans, I think we always go out into the wild of the internet and tell everybody else exactly how to do everything. Everybody on the internet thinks they know the best way to do everything.
No, they don't.
Yeah, that sounds like the internet.
Yeah, yes, they do.
No one does that, really. Come on.
This was a way to kind of give voice to fans and say, okay, so now we have fans. And the idea was always, we're going to have different people every time because you want people that are engaged in the movie instead of the same, I guess a lot of podcasts would just do the same three people every week. Well, I think your ideas are not going to stretch very far that way, in my opinion.
You can only have so many robots in space.
Exactly. So by having it a little different, having the host change, having the voices and the ideas and the thought process vary from week to week or by week to by week, it really, to me, it really felt like that's what a fan conversation is. Whenever I talk to people that are fans of movies and we talk about, God, I wish I just saw this remake and man, they just did not understand what the original was at all. This is a way to give voice to that concept of fans that we know we could make a better movie if Hollywood would just stop letting studios dictate it and listen to the fans.
And Aaron, that's a great point about the rotating hosts, because yes, I agree. If you just had the same three all the time, some things just wouldn't flow as good. By giving everybody pretty much an opportunity, especially like for me, I don't watch as many movies as the two of you, but when there's a Stephen King one or maybe another that really grabs my eye, I'm like raising my hand. Oh, I'd like to be a part of that. Please, please, please. And everybody gets a voice. It's just good stuff. And I think that added a very unique angle to Remake This Movie Right.
I mean, even instituting the concept of if you don't like the movie or never saw the movie, then you couldn't host. Because then I got to host a couple of those, like Flight of the Navigator and The Stand, because Aaron was just like, I ain't talking about those. And it probably would have made for a bad episode. So the fact that we were able to come to that realization that Aaron isn't everything to movies, he's close, but not everything. Right. It really helped out those episodes, I think.
You should be honored because I think you're the only person I ever let host this show.
You are welcome. And I am honored.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. I realized those, I think it was twice, right?
I think it was only two, The Flight of the Navigator and then The Stand. Right.
Because those were two I knew that I couldn't do justice to them because I'm both not a fan and haven't watched. By watching them, I would just be the guy, this sucked. I don't like that. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear somebody just poo-poo. I'm sure they do. There's a lot of podcasts that do it. But I don't want to hear people poo-pooing a movie for an hour. That's just not fun to me. I just don't enjoy that. I don't know why you don't want to listen to that.
I think you just don't have the dedication to it because some people bought the DVD of The Stand for $10 on Amazon and then found it on YouTube and watched it at 2x.
And I don't know why. Like, did you need to do that? I mean, really, was the dedication worth it? Because I even told Troy, I'm like, all you got to do is host it. The other guys can handle the rest of it. You don't even have to really partake. Just be there and be engaged. And he's like, oh no, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm like, well,
Aaron,
stupid.
Did you really think that's how it was going to go?
I was trying to give him it out, but he didn't want to listen. He's like, I'll watch all 27 hours of this damn thing. I don't care.
I did the same thing with it. I couldn't find it anywhere online, the original version. So I bought the DVD like a savage and watched it. And now it's available on Hulu, of course, a couple of years later.
Savage. Man, well, I hope everybody got that from the 4 seasons we've done this. And originally, I will say to let everybody know, like, at the end of the 3rd season, that was kind of, I felt like we left on a really high point. I mean, I thought it was a high point. We had a great I think it was The Room was our last episode, and that was really, people really loved that. We had a great season finale with the trailers and whatnot. And I just thought, you know what? Maybe we just leave on this. But then it went a couple months. We started getting a lot of emails. Hey, when you coming back? When you coming back? I'm like, well, I guess I got to do proper send off. So that's where the 4th season came from.
And then we did Star Wars, and everybody was like, please cancel it now. Please cancel it now.
Yeah, that's pretty true. There's a lot of now.
That was pretty bold. I'm like, really? They are going to remake the original Star Wars the right way. Oh, boy.
If you're going to have a last season, you might as well just go for it. Who cares anymore,
Exactly.
right? What are you going to do? Cancel us? So what didn't work? Like when you did this, and be honest, I mean, let's have fun with this and be honest and be sincere. What about the podcast didn't work for you, or where did you struggle? Wayne, why don't you try that? Because I know you hate being negative about anything, so I'd love to hear what you have to say.
All I can really say is when you go back years to the first season, the production value and the sensibilities of how it intertwined with society, it's just not how we would do things today. No, I really can't think of anything really that doesn't work other than, the first 5 or 6 episodes, everybody's trying to find their footing and find out how they want the show to be. And that's all I can say. And that's normal.
The only one I could come up with is Grandmaster Wayne. Wayne trying to wrap that trailer. I was like, okay, if he could pull this off, this would be epic.
There was no chance that was going to happen. And I think there was twice when I was requested to attempt rapping.
Mm-hmm.
Like Men in Black and Wild Wild West. Wiki Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West. But that was more of making a play off the Men in Black one, right? The Men in Black one. I think,
Yeah.
if I remember right. There's so many, it's really hard to keep track. I think the only thing that ever really didn't work for me is when we had, when there was a struggle to find the right idea, because I mean, you guys hear the edited version, you guys listen, you hear the edited version. And the truth is sometimes, and Wayne and Troy, I'm sure you were on a couple that were like that, but you get to where you're trying to cast or you're stuck on an idea and then people won't budge, or they just can't see the vision. So you're trying to make it all click because you want to make something cohesive by the end. And then, you hear the edited products, you don't hear all that. Or you're debating over a casting choice and you try to make it amicable. You got the cut, but you try to make it amicable. But sometimes there's like a 10-minute back and forth and it's not interesting to listen to radio wise, but it was always, well, here's where this is going. You
should hear the 10-hour director cut of the Stand episode.
Oh, was it like that for that one too? I wasn't there for that one.
Oh yeah, it was pretty long.
You should release that. There you go. There's a special bonus content. We've got a director's cut of our own podcast.
It's longer than the miniseries that we made.
A lot of good response
times
for that one. Yeah, a lot of good response for that one.
Oh, yeah. I think we came up with a solid idea. The 4 of us put together. You try to get 4 people that love the original Stand book and take their favorite parts from the original miniseries. And it's going to take a while because there's a lot to chew into. And I think we did a great job. Because I'm modest.
Because you're modest.
And we joke about those first couple episodes like Weird Science and some of the other ones. I mean, to this day, I will laugh every time I hear rabid baboons or lumberjacks in the wilderness that have gremlins chasing after them. Those are fun. I mean, it's not exactly what we aspired Remake This Movie Right to be, and that's why we made some format changes out of the gate, because we definitely wanted this to be someplace where we could hopefully get even the original writers to come on the show and remake these with us. But those are good times. I laugh really hard. Con space.
I remember when we do the wild ones where they just went off the rails. I think when Roger would come on here, he would lose it. I mean, just because he's such a mile a minute guy, and I'm like, where the hell is this going? And Brian, oh my God, I love Brian Williams to no end, and he could not come up with a just crazy bonkers idea. Like just the room. Let's set it in space. Why? Why not? Why wouldn't you? Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me.
And it worked.
Kremlins.
You talk about a classic.
The movie poster. Remember we made the movie poster for the Kremlins?
I remember you guys doing that.
Yeah. Brian made that actually. He came up with a movie poster of, you know what? That would be really applicable right now.
It sure would.
Occur in America. That would be a even better movie than it was originally.
That was definitely an episode because I record the trailer. You give me the script before I ever hear the full episode. And then you through the magic of audio editing, put it all together. And when I got that early trailer for Kremlins, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is going to be a great episode to listen to when it comes out. Was it Monday morning, Tuesday morning? I couldn't wait.
I love that one. See, now I'm just going to sit over here and just look up and reminisce. Oh, let's go ahead and hop into, well, should this podcast even be remade, or should it be placed in don't touch status?
I'd love to see it come back, to be quite honest. I thoroughly had enjoyed the episodes that we were on. It even got me to watch movies that I didn't want to watch, Magnificent Seven. But it was an enjoyable movie, and I really learned a lot from that movie and how, film was shot back in the day, and really it opened up my eyes to maybe go back and look at some of those classics. So I think if we can take a look at some of those and pitch them to a modern audience, I mean, that's what everything their kids are watching these days, right? Voltron's back, and Thundercats was back, and Transformers is in the movie theater. So we should be able to go back to some of those classics and see if we can come up with new ways of telling those old stories.
I think if it's going to be remade, it has to be done with the original creator, Mr. Aaron Peterson. I don't think it should be remade or rebooted, with a whole new cast of characters. It's got to be a Hollywood outsider production with Aaron Peterson at the helm, guiding us through the insanity of the movie business.
Hey, I agree. I think no, that would be a hard one to turn over. I would actually, I let Troy do it a few times, and it worked out great. So I definitely didn't mind handing the reins over, but it's tough. When it's your baby, it's kind of tough, But I will say, for people that are a big fan, I will never say never to anything. There's always a possibility. So stay subscribed. You never know. Maybe like 6 months from now, something pops up, or some little bonus content, or you get a little extra something. We just threw something together because we were bored. It is possible. And it would be like me to just throw what I've already said to the wind and just try it anyway.
Or if you hear the sound of a Brinks truck backing up to your house.
Oh, yeah, I'd sell out for money in a heartbeat. Yeah.
In rubles.
In rubles. We'll just keep playing that Russian connection. So here are the big questions. Are you guys ready for some serious questions? You have to tell the fans in leaving what you love most about this show. Certain episodes, certain trailers, etc. Are you ready to do this?
More or less, yes.
Sure.
Okay. All right. First up, favorite episode to record, or for Wayne, favorite trailer to record. Either way, whatever you want to do,
or both.
Or both. Either way, all time. What is your pick, Troy? You go first.
Oh, that one's easy. It was Short Circuit with the SS Wilson, the man who created it in the first place. To have him come on and just sit with us and reminisce about that movie, how it came to be, and then actually come up with something that I think he actually kind of liked and might have actually pitched himself. And that he had so much fun on the show, and then was able to come back 2 other times for, I believe it was The Howling, and I'm totally blanking on the other one we did with him.
Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, that's right. I'd already mentioned that one. The whole point of this was to hopefully tap into Aaron's vast network of directors and people that he's talked to over the years to maybe make some connections and see if the original writers or original cast member or somebody would come on the show and be able to sit with us and reminisce about the olden days, and then, of course, come up with something new. And so the fact that we were able to pull that off for at least one episode of the actual movie that they wrote, I think that was a success, bucket list achieved for the podcast. So that was really a lot of fun, and just really great to meet Steve and build that relationship with him. And I almost kind of want to do one more with Steve before we go.
I will add that is my favorite episode to record as well. So we're in agreement there, because it was such a... I had talked to Steve Wilson on The Hollywood Outsider, SS Wilson, and he wrote Tremors, he wrote Short Circuit, he wrote a lot of films in the 80s, and he continues to write today, but I'm just saying that's the most prominent ones that you can think of. And we had talked to him on The Hollywood Outsider because we had a long-standing joke, which is Tremors science fiction or not? Is it sci-fi or is it not? And I always stood on it's definitely science fiction. And my old co-host, Justin Macumber, who was kind of an inspiration for this show, and I'll explain that a little later, was always on the opposite side. And it was a constant fight. So one day I just got it into my head to reach out. You know what? I'm gonna email the writer and just see if he'll answer this, because I'm sick of having this fight. And he actually agreed to, we'll come on your podcast. And he agreed to come on The Hollywood Outsider. He talked to us for 2 hours. We had a great time. And then when we started this, I told Troy, I'm like, Steve Wilson is just one of the nicest guys I've ever talked to. And I've talked to a lot of directors in Hollywood, a lot of writers because of the Hollywood Outsider and stuff. The nicest guy I've ever talked to, bar none. Just open and genuine. And if you can go to the Hollywood Outsider and find that interview because he talks about, how Kevin Bacon was about Tremors. It's really interesting stuff. Fascinating guy. But when he came on and he agreed to do that, I don't think people understand the level of cojones it takes for a man who wrote a work to come on a podcast. We're not Kevin Smith's podcast. We're smaller. We got a good base, but we're not huge, but to come on a podcast and agree to take a movie that you love and then remake it and also talk about what worked with it, what didn't work with it, what about the original he would like to change. I mean, he was very honest and open and just wonderful to talk to. And that was easily my favorite episode to record because the entire time, all I wanted to do is keep hearing him talk, which is weird because you're doing a podcast. You're supposed to do the talking, it's not supposed to be you stay. But Troy and I think we just wanted to hear his stories because his stories are just so great.
Totally understand that sentiment because, say, for example, during the Stand remake, if we could have had Damon Lindelof in there helping remake it with us, I would have been the same way. Just listen to Damon. But
I would have understood that, but I also would have been worried about how your movie ended.
I know.
No, because then we brought M. Night Shyamalan in to co-write it to save it.
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine how epic, beautiful, and fabulous that would be?
No. No. Well, maybe M. Night's made a rebound, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Glass is coming. My favorite episode to record, and I know you said I got to narrow things down, but dang it, I have a hard time with that.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to have it because
you do you. Whatever makes Wayne happy. It's the last episode.
Oh man, it's kind of a tie. It really is between it and The Stand. I know The Stand was recent, and a lot of people gravitate toward their latest work or what have you. But on both of those, we took something that was epic. They're both based on very large, epic novels, and they were both fairly large and relatively successful miniseries back in the day. And since they're Stephen King, and we know that some Stephen King fans take things very seriously, I really felt the pressure that we've got to deliver some good, solid stories. And I think on both of them, we had a great collection of input, and we narrowed it down without much, I really want this. And so for me, it's a tie. And I know that sounds like a cop-out. I can't pick a favorite between it and The Stand. Love them both, man.
Well, it depends if that royalty check clears for the two movies that they did based on our idea.
Well, that will definitely turn things around for the It project. Yes, indeed. Good point, Sir Troy.
Hey, so far they're not using the orgy, so I think they did hear the podcast because we were definitely adamant, no orgy, and they seem to follow suit.
Well, they did do only kids, no adults in the first movie, and they're doing only adults in the second movie. So
true.
They just need to do they need to do the retrospective third movie, and then it will truly be our trilogy that we recommended.
It'll happen.
It could happen. And remember, that was we were featured in AV Club for that one.
Exactly. Unbelievable.
That was a huge deal. I remember the podcast has been featured actually in AV Club 3 times. One for Pet Sematary, one for Stephen King's It, and one for Flatliners. And every time it's just been a huge surprise, and we're just taken aback by it because that's a pretty big outlet, and to recognize us, we really did appreciate that. So thank you if you guys still listen. Thanks so much for that. That was really great. It was really great. Okay, so favorite episode to listen to. I'm going to throw it right back at you, Wayne. What's your favorite episode to listen to that you overall, or your 12 that you have to come up with? However you want to roll with it.
I'm going to pick a single one for this one, but I do want to mention the runner-up, but I do have a favorite. I'm not involved in either of these other than doing the trailer, but both of these films, when I was listening to you guys come up with your ideas and even talking about the original, I was literally laughing out loud, and a couple times I had to get out a Kleenex and dab my eyes because I couldn't stop laughing, and people at work were going to think I've lost my mind. What are you laughing at? And the two I'm talking about, Con Air Con Space, and The Room, because The Room makes no sense that ever should have been a movie, but you guys talking about it was just bonkers. But if I had to pick one, I would go with Con Air, because when you include the script that you wrote for the trailer, the whole thing just is off the rails in a beautiful way.
They're great. Great picks, man. Great picks. Oh, space. I'm never going to get over that. And was it Con Uber? Con Uber, Troy?
Yes, Con Uber. Because why the hell not?
All right, Troy, what is your favorite overall to listen to?
Well, as much fun as The Room was to listen to, I mean, I had to pull over on the side of the road at one point because there he goes floating by. Oh, hi, Mark. And then when Wade says, "Oh, hi, Mark," the trailer, I just lost it. I had to pull over, but I really enjoyed listening to Dungeons and Dragons of all things. To be quite honest, just the whole. There's got to be a dungeon and a dragon and a tavern and blue lips and it was. I mean, I've never seen the original, but I'm just so glad I never have to now, and I can't wait to see the remake because you guys just had so much fun doing that episode, and plus knowing that was kind of a special one for you to record with Rob, Aaron. It was just, that one I gravitate to. I actually listened to it more than once because I just thought it was really funny.
And you know what's extra funny about that is I had no idea that there was a Dungeons and Dragons movie. I don't know how I missed it.
Oh, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, you're okay. You don't need to really find that one.
Oh, okay.
Your life's okay. You're doing all right.
If you listen to the podcast, that's all you need to know.
There you go. I've listened to every episode all the way through.
I've got a couple, and I'm going to break my own rule because I don't care because it's the last. What are you going to do? I've got a couple that I loved. I loved the Gremlins episode. I thought that was just a lot of fun. The Friday the 13th was just ridiculous because we had Meryl Streep and a budget of $300 million, and it just made no sense whatsoever. That was the first season where we were just, who cares? Go for it. It made no sense. Clue. I love Clue because at the end, that movie, every time I hear the plot of that movie, I'm like, I want to see that movie. I really do want to see that movie. So that's one of them. And then there's a couple more. I really was a big fan of the Batman episode. I was a big fan of The Room. Overall, if I had to pick one, it would be The Room, just because I've probably listened to that episode at least 4 times, and I laugh heartily each time. And Con Air's up there. One that's very special to me in kind of a way is I talked about Justin Macumber. I mentioned him, and just brief history. When he was my co-host on The Hollywood Outsider, which is the other podcast that I do about movies and TV. And he wanted to do a segment on that show called Recasting the Classics, which is take a old movie, a classic movie, and recast it with modern actors and see who you come up with. And that was kind of like the springboard for what Remake became, because I kind of like jumped off that idea and thought, it would be really cool to actually do a whole podcast and here's what we do and da-da-da-da-da. And, Justin liked it, but he kind of liked the more of just the casting part. He didn't like the rest of it. But I love that concept. So I'm like, I'm running with this because I think this could be something. We're going to do this. And so I jumped off that, came up with Remake This Movie Right, and eventually did Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Tried to get Justin on many, many times, and he just, I don't want to do the whole episode. I just like the casting. I don't really like the other stuff. Finally got him on for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which he is a huge fan. And he's now passed away, which is why it's special to me. He passed away, but we talked about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, the movie, the whole history, the lore, and then came up with a really great remake of it. So that whole episode, it's just more of a personal connection to me, I guess, in retrospect. So it's a very personal one. Hilarious wise, The Room. Retrospectively, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Well put.
Thank you. Okay. Favorite overall trailer, your favorite. And I'm going first this time. My favorite trailer of all time. And for each one of these we give, you're going to hear the trailer. Okay. My favorite all time Remake This Movie Right trailer is Men in Black. And do you know why we make Wayne Henderson do this? Because he makes this look good.
Here come the men in black.
The shady guys dress in black, remember that, just in case we're ever face to face and make contact. The title held by me, MIB, means Men in Black, don't misunderstand me. We lurk in shadows, move in silence, guarding against extraterrestrial and supernatural violence. New partners up, our new guy, Jay. He's about to find out he got played. He saw something strange but didn't watch his back. That's a mistake, because you never know where the MIB is at. What's this beast with his head in hand in front of me? Adulahan, what your eyes saw, they did not see. The regular peeps zoom in on the impending doom, and then boom, black suits fill the room. We'll use Jay to ditch the threat. We'll cast him back, his use is spent. Hypnotizer, neuralizer, Jay's memories turn to fantasies. Ain't no MIBs, can I please? Do what we say, that's the way we kick it. And if you stay after credits, you know we're cricket. We're still your first, last, and only line of defense against the worst creatures in the universe. So don't fear us, cheer us. Even Jed thinks we're still fearless. MIBs don't care that the deck is stacked. What's that stand for? Men in Black.
The Men in Black.
Okay, great job, Wayne.
Nice, Wayne.
Great job.
We've done better.
Now, the reason why I love that trailer is because Wayne Henderson went so far outside his comfort zone that the man rapped.
Well, kind of.
I disagree. I think it came off swimmingly. I mean, I wouldn't start a profession or anything, and I don't think Will Smith is sweating. That was a lot of fun. I love listening to it, and I was very worried about giving it to you because I'm like, that's really... I mean, that's asking him to do stuff. I mean, because Wayne's not charging big money for that. I mean, he's doing this as a favor and because he enjoys doing it. And, you know, he's a great voiceover artist. So, hey, gives him some practice, I'm sure. But he's not a rapper. So I was wondering if he was willing to do it. And he went for it. And he didn't care. And he just like, hey, is this all right? I'm like, perfect. Absolutely nailed it. And I love that trailer. I love it.
Anything for you, Aaron. Even when you had me stretch even further, I think it was Big Trouble in Little China. You're like, hey, can you maybe sing a couple of the lines from the theme to Firefly?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I was like, sure, anything for Aaron. I'll do it.
I don't even remember why. I just remember it seemed like a good idea at the time. Sometimes I write these trailers and I'm just like, what am I thinking? All right. Troy, favorite all-time trailer.
Well, that is easy. It is the one that celebrates our country and the fight against the aliens. None other than Independence Day.
Next summer, invaders from another world are coming to ours with one mission: destroy all life on our planet. Turning our own technology against us, these aliens will appeal to our basic human nature to seek peace. Believing their intentions are real, much of the human race will flock to a perfect trap, being wiped out in an instant. Those of us remaining will be forced to rely on our basic knowledge and skills to survive, eventually joining others from around the world in mounting the largest ground battle in the history of mankind. Mankind. That word should have new meaning for us all after this day. But we won't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. 3 conflicting countries will unite the world for our common interests. Perhaps it's fate that this will release on the 4th of July, and we will once again be fighting for our freedom. Not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. We will be fighting for our right to live, to exist. And should we win that day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day the world declared in one voice: we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Next July, we're remaking our Independence Day.
And the reason why this trailer was so amazing was because I don't remember. I don't believe I was involved in this one, and I ended up listening to it. And then when the trailer comes on, and it's like next summer, and he does the clear the throat thing in the bullhorn. I was like, and it sounds like a bullhorn. This is just the most amazing thing. I was so inspired by Wayne Henderson's voice that I went out and I watched Independence Day that night.
Wow.
I did.
Hey, and your kid was inspired by that, right? If I remember right.
We listen to the trailer all the time. I have it saved separately as a separate file, loaded up in my podcast player. Just hey, anytime you want to be inspired, there's Wayne and a bullhorn.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I do what I can. And fun fact, I think of all the trailers that you've had me record, that is the one that I think I spent the most time on, because I'm like, it's just not right. I'm going to come back tomorrow and try a couple more takes, and I'll rewatch the one from the movie. I got to channel this and get it just right. I spent a lot of time to make you happy on that one, and I'm glad I'm inspiring the youth of America today.
Just in case they make an Independence 3.
Oh, don't do it.
I'm here. If they give me money, I'm here.
No, I'm good. I hope you get the gig if they make a trailer for it, but please don't make that movie. Just make the trailer. You'd be better off.
Good point.
And people just heard it, but he nailed that. And that whole bullhorn thing, I mean, that's just an additive, but he nailed that speech. I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely great. All right, Wayne, you are the voice of this podcast. You are the Mr. Trailer guy. You're trailer man. So what is your favorite trailer of all time?
And first off, I want to thank you for having me be a part of this. I have had so much fun, learned a lot, and really honed a few skills doing all sorts of trailers over the years for Remake This Movie Right. And although Twister and Charlie's Angels were a lot of fun to record because they just had a lot of fun things in there, I'm like, ooh, I get to do this. This is going to be silly. If I had to pick one as my favorite trailer, and a lot of it goes to the writing of the trailer by Mr. Aaron Peterson, I'm going to go with Star Wars. In a galaxy far, far away, prepare to boldly go where no man... What? Wrong movie. Isn't this the one with the phasers? Oh, glow sticks? Right. Sorry, guys. It's been a while. Really? You're going to remake Star Wars? I've got a bad feeling about this. Okay, let me give it another try. Yeah. Do or do not. There is no try. Real original. Let's do this again and see if I can stay on target. Emperor Palpatine has convinced the universe to follow his rule as leader of the Empire. Only a small band of rebels know the truth. They stand between slavery and freedom. Finally attaining proof of Palpatine's crimes, Princess Leia escapes the clutches of the Empire's second-in-command, the maniacal Darth Vader, and arrives on the desert planet of Tatooine. Her search leads her to Obi-Wan Kenobi, an old sage whose guidance she desperately needs to reach the Alderaan system with the proof. His friend joins on this quest, a young innocent, oddly familiar to Leia. His name is Luke Skywalker. To reach Alderaan, they barter for the release of a scruffy-looking nerf herder pilot and his walking carpet co-pilot, and they set off to deliver the evidence to Alderaan and send out to the rest of the universe, with Darth Vader and the complete military backing of the Empire in pursuit. Bound together by a mysterious, all-powerful energy known as the Force, these rebels are branded as terrorists and will risk their lives to free the galaxy from a totalitarian government determined to wipe them out. From the minds of the Russo brothers, join Matt Bomer, Eliza Taylor, introducing Blank McBlank, and the almighty Kurt Russell as Obi-Wan, as they shake the pillars of hyperspace and remind us why we fell in love with these movies all over again. Many have told us it couldn't be done. More have told us that it shouldn't. Never tell us the odds. grab your blasters and lightsabers and prepare to head back to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. This is Star Wars. And may the Force be with you. And there's so many great things behind that Star Wars trailer. One, the fact that you're remaking Star Wars at all is pretty bold. And the way you had me at the beginning act like I was actually recording a Star Trek trailer with all the confusion. And the way you mix the audio to make it sound like we're conversing in the audio booth and all of that. And then the solid stories for the rest of the trailer. You cannot go wrong with Star Wars unless you invite George Lucas back to help you. And then who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, he said it. That's Wayne at remakethismovieright.com.
Oh, that's awesome.
Snap, as the kids say.
Not George's kids. They're all sad. Even they know that he should stay the hell away. That was not one that I thought would be picked. That's a surprise. I'll be honest with you or me.
We're all surprised with you.
All of us. We're just surprised. That's pretty good. So we've got our favorite trailers now of all the remakes that we've done. Every single one, whether you've been a part of it or not. What is the one you would most want to see remade the way the show envisioned? Troy, what was your one movie you desperately want to see made?
This may shock you a bit. And no, it's not Stand By Me.
Okay.
I actually really, really want to see, because I think that this is a movie that was maybe a little bit ahead of its time and maybe suffered from the fact that it was after Star Wars. But I really want to see a remake or a continuation, as it were, as we decided to do it, of The Last Starfighter.
Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada.
30 years ago, Alex Rogan disappeared into the stars. After spending his entire life looking to the skies searching, his brother Lewis decides to honor him by holding a gaming expo searching for, much like Alex was in his time, the greatest gamer on our planet. When three friends do what no one else can and beat the game of Starfighter, Alex finally returns to Earth with a mission for them all. The Kodan Armada have anointed Agar to lead their army to bring destruction to Earth. With the Star League depleted, Alex recruits our three gamers to take their rightful place as starfighters, defenders of the galaxy. This summer, Robert Zemeckis puts dreamers in the cockpit as three small-town kids lead the future of the human race. They are the last starfighters. No betas were harmed during the making of this film.
Like I said, this movie was kind of ahead of its time. It had a really great premise and a really great idea about leveraging video games and getting people sucked into video games, into a larger world, because people think that I just sit and play video games and make millions of dollars streaming on Twitch and I can't influence society and things of that nature. But here's a movie where playing video games actually leads to something greater. And I think that's a really interesting message for today's video game culture, especially, that if we could do something to rejuvenize that franchise, I think it could be done really, really well. Plus, we have to save the final frontier.
Well said. I mean, you have no personal stake in that one whatsoever, though, right?
I might have been on that one. I can't remember. I think I was on that one. But
I think didn't you run that one? Wasn't that like one of the two that you ran? Wasn't it Last Starfighter and Stand? Or was Flight of the Navigator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this one was me, you, and Scotty Lindsay.
That's right.
Because of the video game aspect, yes.
Gotcha. All right. That's a good one. Joy, thank you for your contribution. Wayne, Mr. Voice, what is your pick? What movie do you want to see of all of these? Do you want to see made?
This was a tough one because there were a lot of great remakes through the years on Remake This Movie Right. And I'm not going to mess around and throw out runners up like I did on some of the other categories. I'm just going to go straight with the movie where the remake that was on the episode is closer to how I want a remake to happen, and very soon, The Dark Tower. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. One man on a pursuit to protect us all from the forces of darkness led by the ominous Crimson King. Prepare yourself for a sprawling television event culminating in the blockbuster film fans have been dying to see. He aims with his eye. He shoots with his mind. He kills with his heart. His name is Roland Deschain, and he has not forgotten the face of his father. This is Stephen King's The Dark Tower. As you heard, the Dark Tower is something special. It is beyond epic. I mean, listen to the audiobooks. It's only going to take you 133 hours. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And the Dark Tower movie that we got in theaters, it was nice to get one. It was fun. And it did introduce my wife and my son and some other folks to the Dark Tower universe in a very light and condensed way that's really not the Dark Tower. And the way we remade it on the episode, I think, would be a much better representation and ultimately would satisfy a lot of Stephen King fans and bring in new fans. And so let's go ahead and after Aaron empties out half of that Brinks truck money, let's take the rest to the studios and make this happen.
Where's my Brinks truck? I would love to have a Brinks truck in my backyard for this podcast. I would sell out in a heartbeat, Wayne. I'm not kidding.
I was hoping that was what you were going to say.
Yeah, I'm up for sale. I mean, I'm up for rental. I'm up for sale. I'm up for lease. Whatever people want to do. Yeah, whatever they can manage. I'm in. The one that I would most love to see remade, because you have to go and listen to the whole episode, I'm sure, but I think the trailer will kind of capture the spirit of it. I just love the absurdity and how far it went for Kremlins/Gremlins.
From the director of Wanted, Timur Bekmambetov, comes a retelling of an American classic. But this time, the rules have changed. Randall Peltzer is a struggling inventor from Kingston Falls, USA. A regular guy who needs a break. It finally comes in the form of his latest invention, a lightweight, timber-shredding chainsaw. To make the sale, though, he is forced to travel to the farthest reaches of Russia. What better way to make up for all those previously canceled trips than to take the family with him, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. While showing off his supercharged chainsaw to local lumberjacks, Peltzer hears the story of a mysterious mogwai that lives in the nearby hills, a creature with the face of a puppy and the voice of an angel. Wanting to make up for their disastrous family vacation in Soviet territory, Peltzer makes a fateful choice and steals a mogwai for his daughter Kate. Unfortunately for everyone, especially the malicious Mrs. Deagle, Kate's boyfriend Billy is along for the trip, and he's not very good at remembering these 3 simple mogwai rules. Keep them out of the light. Never get them wet. And most importantly, never, ever bring them near Bluetooth signals. Disobeying these rules can cause the mogwai to replicate at an alarming rate. As Billy is hunted, he is forced to team up with Kate and her dad to face the herd of vicious, yet adorable, beasts now destroying the Russian countryside. The family that brought death to Russia just might be the country's only hope. This Halloween, join Bryan Cranston, Jamie Alexander, Anton Yelchin, and Lily Tomlin for a modern reinvention of the Joe Dante classic. They're cute. They're mischievous. They're gremlins.
That was a weird idea, and I loved it. I love it. I just love that idea. I think it's just so stupid it could work. You know what I mean? It's just one of those where it's so crazy that could work. Why not? Let's do it. Let's go. Kremlins.
Consider it done.
And I'm telling you, Russia's on everybody's tongue right now. So why not? Let's make some Kremlins. Let's get this going.
It would be more absurd
by.
than doing like the Baywatch remake or some of the other things that what's the new one with Mila Kunis in there? The spy who
dumped me.
Dumped me, yeah. It's definitely better than one of those.
I'm getting my popcorn ready.
I love it. Well, I do want to say to you two as we kind of close this out. I have a little bit more to say, but I can let you guys go as I do that. I want to say thank you both for joining me on this journey. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it. And I'm always standing by. If you ever need anything wacky done, you know where to contact me.
And I know that Mr. Williams was another contributor to the show early on and did quite a few of these. So big shout out to Brian for helping us get it off the ground, too. I know he couldn't be here tonight, but I'm sure he says thank you to you, Aaron, for letting him come along on the ride and just be part of this, branching off from the mothership. And just so glad that I've been able to tag along and get as many space robots as I could.
There was lots. But I have a question. Is this enough episodes for you to put it into syndication?
I mean, yeah, it's a podcast. So, yeah, definitely. I think 5 is enough to get you in syndication in podcast land. No, I still keep waiting for Hollywood to call and say, hey, we heard one of your ideas. We're going to make that a movie. But I guess it'll just be one of those things where we see it on the screen and then we have to sue.
That's exactly what America's about these days.
Cha-ching.
And I do got a couple real quick mentions. I want to say thank you to Rob Rowald because he's always helped me with any background support and technical support. He's always been a big help there. Dustin Baker, thank you because he designed our logo, and also the Hollywood Outsider logo. I love the work you've done on that. I want to thank all of the hosts that have been part of this show. We've had I've been pretty fortunate that we've had so many wonderful, talented guest hosts come on here and be willing to just engage in this absurdity and throw down, commit to it. Sometimes a little more serious, sometimes a little more ridiculous, but they're always willing to get involved and have some fun. And I really do appreciate that because we've had, a lot of people have come by the show and done this, which I think is fantastic. A lot of people I respect and admire and are very active in the podcast community. I just can't say thank you enough. I really appreciate you guys coming by for that endeavor. But lastly, there's one person that I really, really want to say thank you to. And I want them to know that it's a very special thank you. It means the world to me because the show would not be what it is without Wayne Henderson. And I want you to know that every single episode, you've never been a diva or made demands or wanted like green M&Ms or anything else. You've always been willing to just run with anything and do anything. And that really just meant the world to me because you didn't have to do that. That's something you just did out of the kindness of your own heart. And because you're creative, you have a creative heart and you wanted to express it and join in my expression. And I really do appreciate that. So thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Aaron. I do appreciate it. I really do. I can't think of a better way to reply other than to say you're welcome and thank you. And I do like M&Ms. It can be any color.
Check is in the mail. Okay, now I do need to close this show out. And to do that, I'm going to have one more trailer for you guys. And that is from listeners. That's from you guys. It's what you decided was your favorite all-time trailer or the ones that participated in the poll. So here you go, the number one trailer of all time per listeners.
Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider. No, you don't want that. Wait, what? Oh, you guys want it played straight? But my rapping skills from the Men in Black episode. There was a riot? I gotcha. Not a problem. Let's try this again then. Gallop back to the past in an exciting adventure that reimagines one of television's greatest series. James West is a hero with a badge that needs no introduction, a James Bond for a lawless time. West is joined by Artemis Gordon, a brilliant inventor of gadgets and gizmos aplenty, and a master of disguise. As our heroes learn from a defenseless woman of a plot to assassinate President Grant, West and Gordon set off on their infamous rail car, the Wanderer, to hunt down a mysterious outlaw known only as Loveless. Brace yourselves as Ryan Gosling and Robert Downey Jr. team up for a new take on an old tale with a twist you'll never see coming. It's the Wild, Wild West. Wiki, 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 wild, wild west. When I stroll into the wild, wild west. What?
One more applause for Wayne Skills. One more. All right, and now it is time to say goodbye to the show. For me personally, I have put so many hours of blood, sweat, and tears into this show, and I can honestly say my heart is full from all of the great responses and moments that have stemmed from it. We did a couple of live episodes that really warmed my heart. Wesley Snipes' Duck Our Blade episode. And of course, as I talked about, we had S.S. Wilson come by several times, which really, really always made me smile. And, I have noticed several remake shows have popped up since we started. They're all doing it a little bit different, and I do wish them success. I think they're trying different things for the most part. I think most people are just talking about remakes, but they're coming up with ideas, and there might be some cool ones in there. So I wish them all success. I genuinely do. I really believe our show is unique, though. I've always felt that way. I felt like this idea, I'm really not trying to toot my own horn. It's just something that I really have loved from the get-go and would love to see almost all of the movies that we came up with made. There are some really great ones in there, even The Room. But it is time for me to leave. It's time for me to turn the lights down. It's time for me to wrap this up. But we're not done. I have one more thing for you. And as I leave you, I just want to say thank you for subscribing, for downloading, supporting the podcast for all of these years. And unless you're a new listener, thank you for checking it out. If you're from day one, thanks for always being there. The audience has never dwindled. It's not an issue of nobody's listening, so we got to end the show. It's really more of ending on my own terms and being able to say, I did what I wanted to do with it. I think we had some really fun times and some good movies came out of it. And now it's time to call it a day. That's really what it boils down to. And I wasn't kidding. There is a Patreon possibility. If you guys go to patreon.com/thehollywoodoutsiders, there's a tier already. If we hit that tier, there will be a monthly Remake This Movie Right. So it's up to you guys. If you want to continue, you can contribute that way. Otherwise, this is going to be the last public episode. And I want to say there would not be a season 4 if it weren't for you. If it weren't for listeners asking for it and really kind of getting irate that it hadn't came back after season 3 ended and I didn't give it a proper farewell. That's because of the listeners that were even having season 4. It's the only reason we had Star Wars and Raiders and Princess Bride and V and Face Off and Maximum Order and all those movies. And Highlander, there can only be one. That's not true. They made like 12. So thank you for making me come back. Thank you for making me do a proper finale for the show and for you. I really do think it was important. And now I have one more surprise for you, one more trailer to leave you with, and the only one not handled by our own Wayne Henderson, for reasons you will understand soon. That, and I wanted it to be a surprise for him. Take a listen.
In a world besieged by reboots, remakes, and rebrands, one podcast against all odds dared to go against the grain, refusing to let Hollywood destroy any more childhoods. These mavericks, these Goonies, these Kremlins, they took on the system head on. With one eye on the past and the other on the future, this team spent each episode rebuilding some of our favorite and not so favorite films for a new generation. Capped off every time with a fantastic trailer from the great Wayne Henderson, who couldn't be here for this trailer because it would be super weird to talk about himself in a trailer voice in the third person. Sorry, where was I? Capped off every time with a fantastic trailer from the great Wayne Henderson. These cinematic architects rebuilt the movies fans truly wanted to see. The end is here. The scales of justice have been weighed. After over 70 episodes, the decision is final. They have remade these movies right. No actual remakes or childhoods were harmed during the making of this podcast.
Yeah, what a way to go out, right? Shout out to my co-host from Smirk, Zach Parkerson, for doing that for me. I wanted a nice little surprise on the way out the door, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. With that, I am your host, Aaron Peterson, saying one more time how grateful I am to all of you who have listened for all of these years. This has been a fantastic time in my life, and I love to have shared it with each and every one of you. You can still find me talking about movies over on The Hollywood Outsider. You can hear me talking, writing stories, and discussing topics on Smirk. Both are available. One's available at thehollywoodoutsider.com. One's available at smirkpodcast.com or your podcast apps of choice. But Remake has officially used its last reel of film. I honestly can't. I can't believe I can't believe this is the last time I'm going to say this. But okay, the time has arrived. I kind of have been talking just to put it off. I can't believe this is the last time I'm going to say this, but I'm going to do it. The final credits have rolled on this podcast, so remember that every film you love will get a reboot someday. My God, you know it's true. And only you can remake this movie right. Cut and print. That's a wrap.